Up, social media family? It's your boy, big brother, little brother. It just depends on the situation. Your boy Noble Alexander in the building. How y'all doing today? Hopefully y'all had a great weekend. I know I did. First and foremost, we want to start off by saying Hotep, Shalom, Salam Alaikum, peace and blessings. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So today's episode is the Sonya Massey shooting. Okay. That was something that was I don't know if you guys are aware of that or whatnot. I'm sure you are, but it was a very horrific incident that took place involving a African American woman that was shot and killed by Illinois PD, I believe. Okay. So today we have a very special guest on the show. Okay, he's coming on in. He is someone that has run for city council in the city councilman in the city of San Diego. He is the most puissant sovereign grand commander of John G. Jones Grand Lodge, ancient free and accepted Masons, Scottish Rite, York Rite degrees. He's been a Mason for over 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to my special guest this evening, joining me on this conversation to discuss the Sonya Massey shooting, none other than Brother Tony Hawkins.
All right, greetings, everybody. Greetings. I don't know how well you see me, but definitely it's good to be here. Now, this is going to be interesting because I'm going to tell you, as I said before, I spoke about this today at church. So I'm all in. Let's have this conversation because this one need to be had. And I thank you for the introduction, and let's move forward. I'm in it.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. I definitely appreciate you for coming on to the platform, the I'll Slap the Sense into You platform. Full disclosure before we get started. Once again, this is the I'll Slap the Sense into You show. Okay, this is not about being disrespectful and slapping the shit out of you. This is to wake you up, get your pineal gland a little bit, wake your mind up a little bit, give you some information, give you another angle of how to analyze things, because sometimes we get caught up in our own pride and our ego, and we may not take enough time to do enough research, or we're going off of what other people say, which is hearsay. And a lot of times you just kind of just need that little to kind of wake you up and get you going, baby. Okay. So what I would like to do before we actually dig into the conversation, I would like to play a little bit of the video involving the shooting. Okay, it's about I say it's about 36 seconds of the clip, so it's not going to take long. So I'm going to play the video, and then we're just going to get into the full discussion, okay? So that's how we're going to work that.
Sheriff's deputy shot her in her own home.
The deputy who pulled the trigger is charged with murder. Our Charlie DeMar is here with that shocking video. Charlie.
And Joe and Erica, good evening. President Joe Biden responded to the shooting, saying that Massey should still be here tonight. She called 911 to report a prowler near her home. And as you're about to see, the seemingly routine encounter quickly takes a deadly turn. We do want to warn you that this video is hard to watch.
You called us.
Body camera video shows Sonya Massey opening the door for Sangamon County Deputy Sean Grayson and his partner earlier this month.
What took you so long to answer the door?
Oh, I was trying to put on some clothes, sir.
You doing all right mentally?
Yes.
Sure?
My medicine and stuff.
All right.
Once inside her Springfield home, Deputy Grayson asked Massey to check on the stove.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
The situation quickly escalates.
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Huh?
Rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
No, that's where I got to shoot you right in your face.
Massey begins to set down the pot and then can be heard apologizing. Grayson fired 3 times, hitting Massey in the face.
I mean, you know, what else do we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to the face.
What made him kill my daughter?
James Wilburn is Massey's father.
So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to discuss here today. Brother Tony Hawkins, what is your thoughts on that?
brother, hold that just for a second. Hold that for a second.
Yes, sir.
Because that's deep. I don't know if you can see me right now or not.
Yes, I can.
Okay, hold that. Let me do this real quick. I was working on something, but my thoughts is that he murdered her. Let's use the law. You can even look at the law. I mean, I heard a police officer say, well, you know, what happened is that she threw hot water on him. I heard a police officer say that, but nowhere in the video that you can see that she threw any hot water on him at all. Right. Nothing. So when we look at this as individuals, as those who that work, have jobs, have family, home, whatever, when you look at this, you can straight say his intention was to kill her because he told her, I'll kill you. I'll shoot you in the fucking face. That's what he said. He didn't hold that back.
Sure did.
He said that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, it's a very unfortunate situation. I don't me personally, I don't understand why something like that would escalate so quickly. Me personally, I would feel that as a I guess a civil serviceman, that someone that's supposed to serve the public, the badge is supposed to be a symbol of public trust, that this individual would be a professional at, you know, de-escalating situations. And it appears that clearly he had no intention to de-escalate the situation at all.
I'm going to share something with you. They said that she had a mental issue. Am I right?
Yes, I found that out. Yes. In my research, that's what I learned.
So we're going to take that in consideration. You remember when you was a kid, you had imaginary friends? I know I did. I know I shadow boxed. I shadow boxed with myself.
Right.
I played basketball with myself, one-on-one. Me and myself and I played basketball.
Absolutely.
So the question is, do you believe that there are people who are actually in tune with themselves to be able to identify when they are in serious danger, spiritually or mentally?
I absolutely do. I absolutely do.
So the reason I'm saying that is because when you are spiritually in tune, now this young lady, I believe, was spiritually in tune. Let me tell you why. She said something very prophetic. Yes, she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. If that didn't bother your spirit, why would you react that way? Mm-hmm. If that didn't touch on your spirit, why would you react that way? Now, occasionally, I believe that they put people on these drugs to thumb down their pineal gland. I think they put people on medication to thumb down their vibration. I think they put people on medication who really needs it. But some people are put on medication because they are so in tune and they vibrate so high until you say, nah. When they tell you things, you like, no, you crazy. You ever have somebody, you tell them, oh man, you crazy. They're thumbing you down because they don't believe what you're saying. And then when it happens, they come back, man, you know, such and such. Well, I tried to tell you. Absolutely. You know, so I think, this is me, she was in tune with who she is. Not was, but who she is. She was in tune with that God in her. She was in tune with that. So when she seen that police officer and she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, if he was in tune with who he was, he would have like, oh, okay, whatever. But apparently he understood what she said. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Mm-hmm. He walks around and shoots her. That's from a whole nother perspective. I get it. And some people may be saying that's far-fetched.
No, I don't believe that's far-fetched at all, because as a matter of fact, when I assessed the video, because I've watched it several times, and so me personally, I felt like their energy had to been off. And I'm gonna say energy because me personally, I believe that spirituality and energy go hand in hand. I believe that if you say the spirit or you say energy, it's the same. So their spirit or their energy was off when they arrived to the scene. That's what I believe. And because like you said, this lady has she was, labeled to have a mental health issues. And I found that she has called that department or called the police several times before, and they've come out to that location. So I do believe that there was some bit of frustration on top of the fact that this individual could have very much been racist, could very much well been so. And so with that combining all of that, when they got to the scene, it was just the energy was off. It was all negative. They had no business coming into her domain, asking her for her ID and any of these things, especially if she's called them before. They already know who she is. They know what she's about. He even said, if you watch the video that we just watched, they made a mention of her her medication. So they know who she was. Okay. They knew what was
right.
Okay. And
right.
so when he kind of made that comment about, I'm gonna stand over here, and she like, well, what are you doing? I don't want you to throw this hot pot on me. She was like, it was probably at that point where she's like, man, I had enough. Like, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And like you said, that energy triggered her light, triggered his darkness.
Speak on it.
And it was just like, I'll shoot you in your fucking face. Like, oh yeah, he definitely got some dark forces dwelling within his spirit.
Absolutely. And when you as a person, we're going to say common sense because it's not really common anymore. When you view that, when you see that and understand all what took place, even when his own partner said, I'm going to get the kid, what did he say? Oh, don't worry about that. She gone. She dead. She done. Mm-hmm. Think about the mentality. See, the moral compass within the system is corrupt. Yes. Hear me again. I said the moral compass within the system is corrupt. It is so corrupt that those who have a moral compass about themselves are afraid. I'm going to say that again. The moral system is corrupt. And those who have a moral compass about themselves are afraid. Plain and simple. Because if you were not afraid, if you was truly not afraid, you would turn those corrupt police officers over, corrupt doctors, corrupt lawyers, corrupt anything. You would speak on it. You would say, man, he's corrupt. But you are so afraid of the corrupt system that you are in until you remain quiet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to become that guy, the sacrificial lamb who rung the bell. You don't want to become that guy, because in anything that is good, there's going to require some sacrifice. And if you're not ready for it, I get it. I understand. Right. You got a family. You got a good job. It pays you decently. You got benefits. You don't want to sacrifice that for someone that you don't know, who possibly will reject you. So you don't make the noise. I completely understand. But the system itself and the moral compass is corrupt.
I would definitely agree 100% of what you're saying. So let me ask you this question. In involving this incident, would you say this was an incident of racism? A white officer shooting an unarmed black woman, or would you say that this is a situation of someone who just, when you speak on this moral compass, who clearly doesn't have one, was it just somebody that just shouldn't have been a police officer and he would have done that to anybody?
He shouldn't have been a police officer. That guy would have done that to anyone. Now, the part two to that, are there corrupt, racist police officers? Yeah, absolutely. But in speaking in regards to that man, he'd have did that to anybody. Period. And the only way he wouldn't have done it to somebody he would have had to known them or just wasn't feeling it that day. Like, I ain't got time. But when he has time, that guy's dangerous. He's a dangerous man.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I asked that question because, you know, it's kind of easy to make it a racist situation because it's unfortunate that we have these experiences in America where we've seen this time after time after time after time again. So it's kind of easy to say that this was pure racism, but I was sent video footage of him being involved in other situations, and that he has a history of just not doing things according to how you're supposed to go about doing things to the book. You know what I mean? Not following instructions. Someone sent me a video of him doing a high-speed chasing after somebody, and his superiors told him to stop pursuing. And he was still in pursuit. And he even cut his lights off and he continued pursuit. And you hear them on the audio, they're asking him, "Are you still pursuing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just kind of getting ready to slow down for a minute." He said some old BS like that, you know. My thing is this: seeing that you're someone who definitely that's involved heavily in the community, you actually work with law enforcement, ran for city councilman. Do they have any type of measures to, I guess, to check the mental health of police officers while they're on the job? Do they have anything that checks in with their mental state?
To be honest with you, they're supposed to be. You're supposed to do a mental check even before you get hired. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to do all these background checks and all of these things. But like with anything else, if you fit the description, you can get hired if you know John, because John is doing the application. Oh, he's good, man. He's good. We don't have to check his background. He's great. We got him. You on. I mean, it is true. The system is a good old boy system. It is what it is. It's a good old boy system. If it wasn't a good old boy system, a lot of the issues that we have, we wouldn't have them because you would do right by the people in the community that you're supposed to protect and serve. But we understand that a lot of times now, you protect and you serve property. You protect property. You serve property. You serve those who have the money. You don't serve the poor and the less fortunate.
Right. Because
the moral compass, I'm going to keep saying, the moral compass is corrupt. And if it wasn't corrupt, then we wouldn't be having these issues. Uh-huh. I'm not saying it wouldn't be there. You just wouldn't have them as much as you have them now. Yeah. And the way things look right now, you have them too damn much.
Right.
Let's just be honest. You have them too much.
Yeah, you do. I can agree with that. And going back to what you said again about in referencing, the richer or the poor, the middle class, the lower class, the upper class. And when you listen to the audio, there's other footage where there's conversations with the other officers that came in after the shooting. And you said, he mentioned that she came at him with the pot. So that right there is an example of the moral corruption, because he knew he was wrong. So he want to twist the story and say, "Oh, she came at me with a pot of hot water." And I just want to say, for example, because I'm someone who worked in the social service field for almost 10 years. I've been a case manager doing street outreach. I work for the Office of Diversion Reentry. I've been a case manager in a home safe program. So I've worked with a lot of people that have mental health issues. I've also been a direct support staff. So I've worked hands-on with people that had autism and had a lot of other mental health issues that will make them kind of just rage out. And I can honestly say that for him to sit up here and say that he executed that woman because she came at him with a pot of water, let's just say if that was true. It's not, but let's just say if it was. To me, that is some of the most cowardice shit I have ever heard of in my life. Like, bro, a pot of hot water. And don't get me wrong, that type of water is hot. But You hold life and death in your hands as an officer. You're like judge, jury, and executioner all in one. You got the gun. She throws a hot pot of water on you. If that was the case, let's say if it was, it hits you in your arm, whatever. Okay, it's boiling. It burns. Go get some little stuff, the ointment and stuff there. But you shot her in her head or her face. But she's out of here. Not coming back anymore. To me, there's a saying, they say that there's a saying when they say you knew the job was dangerous when you took it. And to me, that was just an act of just being a complete coward. And on the streets, we would say that she was a straight straight up. That was a whole move right there.
I'm listening, bro. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You had broke up, but go ahead. I got you.
Okay, yeah, I can. Yeah, kind of. Your feed is kind of coming in a little slower than it was. But to me, like I said, that was very distasteful. You know what I mean? Because again, there was no attempt to de-escalate. In fact, she had they the ones told her to go to the stove and get the pot off. They the one told her to go over there. So if you so concerned of it, come here. I will slap the sense into you. How can you tell her to go to the stove to get the damn pot situated so it won't allegedly burn the house down, and then when she do it, you shoot her in her face? I mean, the math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing. And the fact of the matter is, as you look at the video, it's sort of funny they tell you the now, and they tell you today, what you see is not really what's happening.
Right.
Hear what I said. You will hear lawyers say, what you see, that's not really happening. There's some other stuff taking place. Mm-hmm. And then they try to remove you from what you actually see to something else. I mean, that's the con game. But we have to start to actually view things as it is and stop looking and say, no. Take a look at it for yourself. I've watched that video several times. And I heard a police officer said she threw the water. I heard his name is Tatum.
Yeah.
I heard him say that she threw the water, and I went and I looked at it. This woman, I blew it up. She did not throw the water. She set the pot down. She she put her hands up with the men's on, squealed down, and he shot her. He did that. He murdered that woman. There's no excuse about it. You can't defend that type of murder. Mm-mm. I don't care who you is. And that's another thing. Since we on it, let me add this. Mm-hmm. When Trump said, I want to give all the police officers immunity, I don't want them to be prosecuted. You lost me, brother. You was already losing me, but you really lost me when you said that. I mean, it's just so much that is happening till it's unreal. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy. And not just to throw that out there, but I'm just saying, there comes a time when you have to stop praying, you Christians, you Muslims, you Orthodox Jews, you Methodists. There comes a time when you're going to have to stop praying and put your prayers into action. And right now, a lot of you are terrified. You are afraid. You go around marching saying Jesus, and that's all you got? Pardon me, brother, for going off on this tantrum, but give me just a little leeway. You mean to tell me all you got is Jesus is going to save you? That's all you got? Jesus love you? Is that all you got for me? No, I can't have that. I need a Jesus. I need a God that got action. And if the God you serve don't have no action, then you serving a crazy God. You serving a false God. I'm saying that right now. If the God you serve has no action in regards to the injustice, and you are afraid to speak on the injustice, being a minister, being a city council, being someone who is an authority, if you are afraid to speak on injustice, then you are worthless. You're worthless. Well, I'm afraid I won't get the votes next year. The hell with the votes. You are there for the people. You are there to speak on the injustice that take place, regardless of who it is, whether it's the homeless, the needy, the poor, the wealthy, the middle class. You are there. You are elected to abide by the law. And if the law itself is corrupt, then you have the power to change the law because the law is corrupt. Brother.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, man. Go.
I see they got your feathers ruffled. I see they got your feathers ruffled with this one, and I'm not mad at you because it's a very sad thing. Question. Again, I'm gonna take this back to racism, and again, I'm not for sure if this was about that, but I'm going to take it there because I do have a question. I'm trying to get some clarity on something because I believe that there's a lot of people in this country that if they're not labeled Black or so-called African American, I feel like they suffer from cognitive dissonance when it comes to our plights and what we're dealing with. But since that's the case, I want to ask you this because I haven't personally seen any, and this is not to say that they don't exist. But have you seen or know of any officer-involved shooting where the officer that just did the unjust killing is a so-called Black or African-American police officer and the victim is white?
There's only been one killing that I know of that was actually put out in the news with this Black officer. He was a Samoan officer. He was called to a residence in a middle-class neighborhood, and he went there, and he was searching around in the backyard because the lady called and said there was a disturbance, almost identical to this. And he went there, and he looked around, and he was like, well, I don't see anything, he was looking around, but she came out of the door, and he was so scared and afraid, he turned around and ended up shooting her. They prosecuted him. They gave him jail time. He's still in jail right now because of that.
Interesting.
That's the only shooting that I can personally recall to where a person of color, Hugh, was actually prosecuted. I'm not saying that there are not any others, but that time it happened, and it was really broadcast on the nation, what we would call the three mainstream networks or four mainstream networks.
Okay.
It was broadcast. That's the only time.
Okay.
Other than that, no. And I can tell you this: most African American police officers will be mindful of how I speak. I'm going to say most African American police officers don't say too much because they know when they call for backup, they can be the one that be killed. I'm going to say this again. Most African American police officers, you can say whatever you want to say. The reason they don't necessarily speak up is because they understand that when they call for backup, that they can easily be killed because they will be the one that can be considered the telltale or the righteous one. He think he's righteous.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
No,
I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
And I say that because of how they treat other Black folks when they pull you over, and they got a white cop with them. So for me, when I deal with Black police officers, I'm reminded, look, ease the conversation. Ease the conversation. I'm reminded of this when I get pulled over, and I've been pulled over a couple of times. I'm reminded of this. I have a right to remain silent. Anything I say can and will be held against me in a court of law. I have a right to an attorney. If I can't afford one will be held, one will be given to me. Do I understand these rights? Yes. You know why? Because I have a right to remain silent. Tony Hawkins, where you going? Here's my license. Here's my registration. I don't have to say nothing. But most of us want to talk our way out of a ticket. No. Here's my license. Here's my registration. Run it. I have no warrants. I have no tickets. And even if I had a warrant or a ticket, and you say, I want to arrest you, pull me out there, I'm going to jail. Can I make a phone call to somebody to come get my car? No. Leave it there. We'll come and tow it. Tow it something. As long as I got my life and I can defend myself in a court of law, I'm good. I'm not trying to give you that opportunity. And even with that being said, we know that there are other individuals who have done the same thing and end up getting shot. We know this. This is not something that's not been written down. We know that there are individuals who have been pulled over and followed exactly what the police said and ended up being killed.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you actually spoke on that, because I was going to touch on that. There's a lot of people, and I want my Caucasian brothers and sisters to hear this. It's and this is not to say that Caucasian people don't experience the deadly or the bad side of law enforcement, because they do. But I find it interesting when a lot of them say, well, you got to know your rights, and you just can't let them do this, and you just can't let them do that. And it's like, well, that don't apply for me. You know what I mean? Because if I get to come in with that Malcolm X shit, and I get to being all tough and spitting off how much I know the law and all this, that, and the other, that in itself, just to show that type of intellect of the law, whether it's constitutional or whatever it is, that could get me in trouble. And this is like the best thing that I could think of is like what you just said. Here's this, here's that, and give it to them. Don't say nothing else. If they tell you to step out the car, if they take you to jail, just go ahead and go with it, and make sure you can memorize names and badge numbers as much as possible, and get prepared to handle your business in court. Because other than that, you have to live to see another day. It just don't work like that for us. I've seen videos of Caucasian people, cussing them out. Hey, fuck you, man. You're breaking my fucking civil rights, guy, and this, that, and the other, and F you and F you. They just going off on them. And it's like, man, we can't be talking like that.
No.
Oh,
see,
we can't talk like that.
You have to be mindful.
Right, America? I will slap the sense in you. Stop suffering from cognitive dissonance. We cannot talk like that to them. No, we cannot. I don't care what you say.
Nope.
No, we cannot.
Now, granted, I'm gonna give some leniencies to some things. If I'm watching a police officer beat up on somebody, if I'm watching and I'm filming, he said, get back, step back. What you do is you get back and step back and zoom in, because they will arrest you and say you're interfering with their right. You're interfering with what we got to do. They would arrest you. We know that they do this. We know this. But there's going to come a time. There is going to come a time. I don't know when, but something is going to happen to where someone is going to see the police doing something they're not supposed to do, and they're going to throw caution to the wind. They're going to throw it to the wind, and they're going to really intervene. It's going, brother, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of who's willing to make the sacrifice. And trust me, it has already happened, but we haven't heard about it. See, when they say that the revolution won't be televised, you know why it won't be televised? Because the revolution takes place here. This is where it takes place at. And when you, who are Hugh, understand that and begin to look and understand your enemy, it's a wrap. Because a lot of y'all like to befriend your enemy. Nah, they already told me who they are.
Right.
A lot of y'all like it. Well, I'm going over to John's house. No, I'm not. Too many times, too many of us have gone over to John's house and found yourself hung from a tree, pulled behind a truck, or dead because you wanted to go over to John's house. No, I'll meet you at a restaurant, one of my choosing, one of my choice. No, too many times we try to befriend them, go into their circle, and then you lose your life. No, No, we good. I'll respect you. You respect me. I know my lane. You know your lane. We good. We can leave it there. It's all right. It's really all right.
Right. I want to ask you this. Are police officers, law enforcement officers, are they drug tested on a regular? Outside. Say it again.
No, I can already answer you that. No, they're not drug tested regularly. No, they're not.
So y'all hear that? They're not drug tested. So you can apply to work at Walmart and they'll drug test you. You can apply to work at Bank of America and they'll drug test you.
Listen to the question. You said, are they drug tested regularly? I'm not saying they're not drug tested or go through anything when they start. I'm saying no, they're not regularly drug tested.
Right, because
no.
there's some jobs that doesn't deal with law enforcement. Like I said, you could work. It might be a Walmart job. You could work at Kaiser Hospital, and some jobs just have random drug tests. They do. They just have random.
They do.
And so I ask that, and I say that because to me, I view a lot of police officers as adrenaline junkies. I view them as adrenaline junkies, and I feel that quite a few of them are jacked up off of certain substances, not necessarily coke, but I mean like just steroids, certain things that boost testosterone, and sometimes those things alter your mind when you're just jacking yourself up with a gang of steroids and stuff. It kind of tends to, mess with your mental process, because I see that a lot of these guys, it's like they're so scary because their reaction is that of someone that's scary.
Just think about the police officer. Pardon me for interrupting you, but think about the police officer that shot at his own car because he heard a coconut come off the car and hit the car. He dies on the ground. He unloads his car. He shoots at his car. They're shooting, and then he claims that he was shot. He wasn't even shot. Where did he come from? Who hired him? Think about that. You arrest a guy.
Now you just put me up.
You arrest a man. You search him. He has no gun on him. You handcuff him. You put him in the back of your car. Then you start walking from your car. You hear a coconut or a pine or whatever hits the car. You fall to the ground. You roll on the ground like you in a movie. You go to shooting at, you empty your clip in the car, and you tell officer down, officer shot. When it comes to, they come to check on you, ain't no bullet hit you, brother. Brother didn't, man, no.
Yeah, he must have been. He was definitely high. He was off that coke. Sounds like it to me. But see, that's why I had to ask that question, because I can tell when people are, me being experienced in certain professional backgrounds, I can just tell when people are juiced up off of something. They just have to get it off. And it just seems like in this video, this guy, he had to get it off, even though I believe
he did.
Yeah, he had to get it off. I believe, like you said, his energy or his spirit was off. I believe he has some type of dark entity clearly that was dwelling inside of him. But at the same time, things like that open you up for that. When you just jacking yourself up with substances that just had you out here tripping, and you want to feel like the Incredible Hulk because you afraid of the big black guy and all of these criminals, and you want to act like you're no longer a human being because you're a cop. That's something else that bothers me about law enforcement officers at times. I hate the fact that they feel like because that they are law enforcement, like they say it's us against them. It's like, where y'all come from? Y'all from Mars or Pluto or some shit? Because y'all on Earth down here with us. Y'all are actually human beings like us. Have you experienced that? Officers that feel like they're like something different or some type of upper echelon?
Let me tell you what happened to me. I was pulled over on the way going to work. And yes, I was speeding. I was going 65, maybe 70 in a 50 zone, in a 50 miles an hour zone. And the police pulled out. He pulled me over. He walked up to me. He said, "You know why I pulled you over?" I have no idea. He said, "You were speeding." I said, "Okay." And you know what he told me? "I thought you was going to be an ass." He said that. "I thought you was going to be an ass." I was like, "No, sir. I have no reason to be an ass. License registration. Here you go, sir." He was like, He said that, I was like, okay. But I understood When I got pulled over, I let down all the windows in the car. Let them all down. Here's my license. Here's my registration. You have a right to remain silent. I'm not going to incriminate myself. I have nothing to prove to you. Shut up. If you believe that you know the law more than a police officer, shut up. Be quiet. Because they can lie to you and they won't be prosecuted. But if you lie to them, you can be prosecuted and held to the extent of the law. That's why they say you have a right to remain silent. That's why they say anything you say can and will be held against you. So no, be quiet. Yeah, I've been there. I was leaving a client home. Oh, this is crazy. I was leaving a client home. It was night. I was coming out of the alley and forgot to turn my lights on. I got a block down the road. Lights popped on. I'm like, oh, man. I had my nurse's uniform on, my scrubs, right? Police officer says, where you going? No, he said, where you come from? I said, I just coming from a client's house. He said, where you going? I'm just getting off of work. He said, okay. He said, you didn't have your lights on. Do they work? Man, I was driving my beat up car. I was driving my car, you know, the Green Hornet, the one with the front end crashed in. I was like, Lord, let the lights work. I turned the lights on. He said, high beam. The high beam came on. He said, left and right signal. Brake came on. He was like, you forgot to turn your lights on. I said, fine, officer. Here's your license. Here's your registration. Man, I was like, cool. I've learned something. I can only control me.
Right.
And I know you pissed. I know you angry. As a black man who gets pulled over all the time. Maybe you got pulled over 5 times this week. I know you angry. You don't want to deal with them. I get it. Brother, I need you to come home, though. I need you to be alive. And if you felt that type of way, take it to court. You are not going to win arguing with a police officer on the side of the road. You will not win. You will lose. You either going to go to jail or be found dead. You are not going to win that case.
Nope.
Not on the side of the road. Brother, get home.
That's right.
Sister, get home to your husband. Get home to your family.
Live to see another day. So
absolutely.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe in police reform? And if you do, you know, what does that look like? And if not, why not?
Police reform is equal justice under the law. That's police reform. Equal justice under the law. But you ain't gonna get that. No, baby. You're dealing with a system. And the system is working perfectly. You ain't gonna get that.
Perfectly for them.
Say that again?
Perfectly for them.
Absolutely. Do you think they want to give you equal justice under the law?
Right.
Equal justice under the law. So that says that when I go to court as a person who's on trial, when I look over at the 12 jurors, at least half of them should look like me. At least 4 or 5 should look, at least they should come from an area of the city where I grew up at.
Wouldn't that be?
Those are my peers.
What I was just going to say, wouldn't that be considered to be judged by a jury of your peers?
Absolutely. But when you're making $100,000 a year, when you're making $250,000, when your job doesn't look like anything I can apply for, you ain't my peer. You don't know what it is not to eat. I stole a pack of bologna because I was hungry. That's why I stole the bologna, but because it was my 3rd strike, you want to throw me under the bus? Man, you don't know what it's like to have your lights cut off. I only make $36,000 a year. I'm a single father living in California. I got 2 kids, and the child support is killing me. I'm trying to eat, so I'm sleeping in my car. You got a house, 5 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You got a hell of a job. I'm not saying you ain't going through nothing. But this struggle I'm going through, you can't relate to it right now. I need to be judged by those who are going through similarities of some things so they can have a better understanding. If I'm going to be judged by my peers, Come on now, equal justice under the law. That's what it looks like.
I'll give you another form of equal justice, because I know that if anybody, correct me if I'm wrong, but anybody that if someone was to execute a law enforcement officer, they will be facing the death penalty. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then
man, look, 2 years ago, there was a police officer who was getting off work or coming to work in New York. Somebody rolled up on them, gave it to him. Pow, just gave it to him. Then they say, well, we don't understand, why would they do the police like that? Because that's the same way the police treat the citizen. If you would treat the citizen with dignity and respect, and you know what it is. I'm not talking about a bank robber. I'm not talking to somebody who just killed the store clerk. I'm not talking about someone who just set the building on fire. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the person who was found sleeping in his car, but you killed him. I'm talking about the grandmother's house that you boarded and you broke into looking for somebody who you knew wasn't in the house and she naked. I'm talking about instances like that. This is where you show humanity. Humanity comes into play. Hey, grandma, get some clothes on you. Have a seat. You know what? We was looking for John. This was the address. We so sorry. Look, here's my name. Here's my badge number. Look, you can file a complaint. We get it. We get it. But when you do that to people and you don't show them no dignity, no respect, this is why the community, be it black, white, Filipino, Puerto Ricans, this is why they be like, man, I don't care. Police got killed. So what? He black, he white. I don't care. He needed to get shot. And he could have been a good police officer. But because the rest of the police officers do so much BS and nobody speaks up, the rest of you who are good fall in line with those who are bad.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that their silence is bad?
Yes, the silence is what's going to get them killed. Now, granted, I've seen videos. I've seen videos where this black police officer, she walked up on the sergeant or the police officer, and she said, what you did was foul. Unhandcuff him, and they put him in cuffs because he violated that man's rights. If that would happen more, then the police would have more support. They would, it would just change the atmosphere. But because you don't do that, you get the backlash. You get people saying, I don't care. You get people saying, did you see the shooting, the murder? No, I ain't see nothing. No, I didn't see it. You get that.
That's funny you say that. I have this little saying, and this is just me personally, I could be wrong, but I feel like if more so-called black people, African-American people would actually get and have life insurance policies, I feel that, believe it or not, I feel that would help taper down some of these officers involved shootings, because they would know that, first of all, you kill him, his family's finna come up on 200, 300, 500,000, $1 million. Like they finna get some money. They don't do fish dinners and taco car washes and stuff. These people are heavily involved in life insurance. His family got a policy on him. They're about to be rewarded. That's one part of it. And then two, because it will draw the insurance company into it. It would draw the insurance company into it. I feel like the insurance company would start pressing the department like, hey, man, we paying out all this money, man. Y'all keep killing these people, and we keep having to pay all this money, man. Y'all need to cut it out.
Absolutely. You know what? That's the thing. See, too many of us will spend money on Nike and every other brand. Tommy Hilfiger's, Nikes, you name the brand, we'll go spend the money. And not realizing that a life insurance policy is the thing that's going to set you up. It's going to give your family a leg up. It's going to give that family a leg up. So yes, I believe that if a lot of us would take an insurance policy out on ourselves and set it up in such a way to when you get killed by the police, because it is a killing, Man, look, the police, man, they would be like, hey, you are killing too many. Look, man, you in our pocket. And that's another thing. If the police had their own insurance, the city is not going to cover you for murder. We're not going to cover you for unnecessary. If we get sued and lose the case, you need insurance, partner. If we get sued as a city and we lose the case, your insurance needs to pay out.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you then things will change.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't gonna happen, man. The system is too good right now. It's greased too well.
It's greased too well, and the fact that when the department is sued and they do come up a lot of money, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that money that the department is paying out when someone actually wins a lawsuit against that department or agency? Isn't that taxpayers' money?
There's absolutely taxpayers' money. That is city, county, state money. Let me tell you why. Because of the insurance. The city, the state has insurance. So that comes from their coffin. Okay? It comes from them. We end up paying for it. We who pay taxes end up paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened.
That is amazing. That it seems like it's so many things that is tied to the taxpayers' dollars that the most taxpayers just have no clue about. And that's one of the things that I find interesting. Why would the taxpayer, if this division or department is being sued and they're found guilty and they lose the lawsuit, why does the money come from the taxpayers? It should come from their personal fund. It should come from whatever fund that department is, whatever fund that agency has. It should come from there, but it doesn't. We have to pay it. People that file their taxes, people that work 9 to 5s, people that are self-employed entrepreneurs and file 1099s and Schedule Cs and they're paying taxes. That money goes to that lawsuit. That is amazing. That is incredible.
I'm gonna share this with you. If you are doctors, you have what you call malpractice insurance. If you are a nurse, you have what you call insurance. You get insurance for being a nurse. If you are if you are part of any profession, a lot of them require you to have insurance. You know, even myself, when I go see clients, I have insurance because if something happens and I'm with that client, they can get my insurance. They don't have to come from me. But law enforcement, they don't have to worry about that. And they're supposed to be a professional.
Right.
Now, the question you got to ask yourself, how long does it take to be a police officer?
And see, this is another. See, I'm going to tell you like this. I believe in police reform. Why? Because I do believe that we do need police officers. I do. I'm someone who believes that we need police officers. I just feel that we don't need these particular officers. Like, we just need a whole revamping of the system. We need people that you should have to at least go to college for a few years. Because my thing is this: if it takes you 4 to 8 years to be a lawyer to interpret the law, to be a DA or something like that, then it should take you about just as long to enforce it, because that's what a police officer is. They're a police policy enforcer. So therefore,
No, time out.
Uh-huh.
They are law enforcement. There's a difference between policy and law.
Okay.
So when you talk about policy, it is the policy of the police, but it's not the law. So there's truly a difference between policy and law. And yes, you're absolutely right. They should go to school or have an associate degree in something. You should, as a matter of fact, you should actually have what's the degree that they get? You should have a paralegal degree of some sort before you even become a police officer. You should. And that way you will have a better understanding of the law that you're supposed to be enforcing, because police officers make up laws. They make up some laws. they statute such and such as, and you don't know the statute. So you're like, well, damn, statute such as, quote the law. I'm giving you the statute of the law. So now you hook. But they can be lying to you. Now I've told you that they can lie and not be charged for lying.
Right. See, and this is what I'm saying. We need real police reform. You know, we need people that actually are from the community policing the community. I don't think that it's appropriate to have someone, for example, if you're from South Central Los Angeles, the police officer should be from South Central Los Angeles. They shouldn't be somebody that lives in Joshua Tree or Lancaster or Irvine, Orange County. Come here. I will slap the sense into you. Why?
Absolutely.
Why? Because you got this old scary ass, excuse my language, but this is how I get it out on this show. You got this old scary ass dude coming way from Lancaster, way from Palmdale, way out in the boondocks where he coming from, don't know nothing about the community, okay? He sees some dudes that's standing in front of the store, standing in by the alley, and these people that the community know, they're there all day. All they do is drink. They don't do nothing. They're a bunch of bums and losers that just sit there and have their booze, drink, and but they pose no threat or danger to nobody in the community. But there will be a dude from out of this county come down, police this neighborhood, get to harassing them people, and because the dude got a screwdriver in his pocket, you're coming home, everything's taped off, there's another officer involved shooting, you ask the neighbor what happened, and then you be like, the neighbor tell you, oh man, they done killed Joe down the street. You like, they shot Joe? You're like, yeah, man, you know, drunk Joe. Like, yeah, I know drunk Joe. What they shoot Joe for? Oh man, he had a screwdriver in his pocket. A screwdriver? A screwdriver?
I was fearful for my life.
I was fearful for my life. And you shot Joe over a screwdriver? Well, why didn't your scary ass just shoot Joe in his foot or in his kneecap? Can't nobody do the police officers got Glock 9s, Glock 40s, or 45s. You mean to tell me if you take a 40 Glock to your knee, you not down? He shoot you right in your kneecap? You're down, buddy. You're down.
You're down.
And you still get.
But you know, hold on. You know they're not trained to do that. You know they're trained to shoot center mass. Okay, so let's look at it from this point of view. Your heart is in the center of your chest. It's not to the left.
Right.
It's actually more centered than anything else. Okay, so they're taught to shoot center mass. They hit that muscle. That heart, they hit that heart muscle, that valve, right. Because that's what it is. It's not a pump, it's actually a valve. When they hit it, it's a wrap. It's over. That's how they're trained.
And that's just, and you know what? I don't mind practicing those type of shots because sometimes you may actually need deadly force. There are moments where, you know what, we're going to have to put this one down. But
absolutely.
But that ain't always the case, man. People would like this, like our sister, beautiful sister, rest in peace to Sonya Massey and her family. You know, she didn't deserve that. Okay, we're talking about a pot of boiling water that you told her to go attend to. She was leaving it alone. They told her to go over there to that stove. There was no way she should have been shot like that. Okay, even if she flung the water, you can't shoot her in her toe, shoot her in her ankle, shoot her in her leg, shoot her in her arm. Like I feel like they should also be able to practice those type of shots and have the discernment to understand that every situation is not about, oh, I have to take your life. You know, going back to police reform, I feel like if a citizen faces the death penalty for executing an officer, I feel that an officer, if found guilty, if found to have unjustly taken somebody's life, just like in the case of Miss Massey, that individual should face the death penalty because you have too much power. You are judge, jury, and executioner all in one right here, right now, on the spot. Okay?
On the spot. Absolutely. And that's something we definitely have to consider. You have to consider all of that. And too many times, the hue is found at the hands of police officers, you're found beaten or killed. Now, let me say this, because I know quite a few police officers, and I do. It is the culture. Let's just say that it is the culture that is why we're in this situation. It's the culture. Until you change the culture, this is what you're going to get. Too many times they always want to do training. All the money that these cities, counties, and state invest in law enforcement, you should get that training. There's too many times they say, well, you know what? Maybe he was undertrained. Undertrained my ass. He received the training. He just refused to act upon the training that he received.
I'm not gonna lie. It's too many times where I'm wondering what type of training that they're receiving, because as someone who I've been studying martial arts since I was 16 for a very long time. Okay, I practice a lot of different kickboxing, MMA, boxing, different stuff. You name it, I do it. Okay, so my thing is, when I see 10, 11 officers piled up on one person, struggling to handcuff one person and get their hands behind their back to slap one single cuff on them, I mean, just come on, man. That is just, it don't take all that. It don't take all that, man. Most people have no real understanding of what it is to actually do hand-to-hand combat. They may think they got some squabbles. Yeah, you might have some street squabbles, but when you're dealing with somebody that has been trained thoroughly in taking people down, putting them down, keeping them down, subduing them, trust me, it don't take no 10 people to do that. No, it don't.
Well, people got to work on frustration. So they may take 10 because the one that's up under the pile is giving it to him. Because I don't want to go home and beat up on my wife, so I got to give this to you like right now. I got to give it to you because I know if I get home and I'm frustrated and my wife is talking crazy, I'm going to put hands on her. But because I don't want to put hands on her, I'm going to make sure that you feel this tonight. You're going to feel this tonight. I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, I'm just saying.
I mean, we see it all the time. Even in police chases, when they're showing a live police chase, when they finally apprehend that suspect out of their vehicle, man, that's like 20 dudes on top of that dude. I mean, it don't take all that. It don't take 20. To me, that's creating more of the chaos, because you got people pulling him this way, pulling him that way, trying to keep him down, trying to lift him up, but they all telling him to stop resisting. They're all yelling out, stop resisting.
Look, I only got a few minutes left because the day is my wife's birthday.
Oh.
But I'm going to say this. Yeah, she ain't home right now, so that's why I'm talking to you. I got time. But she should be here in just a few minutes. So that's the thing. That's the word. There's two words you got to remember. I fear for my life and stop resisting.
That's all they got to say.
Fear for my life and stop resisting.
Wow.
So I'm gonna share this and I'm gonna get ready to go. There was a teenager who had just bought a brand new car. He ended up locking his keys in the car some type of way. But he gets the hanger, he gets his keys out of his car. Lady calls the police, says that this man broke into this car. Right? The police on the campus swarms him. He runs to the front of his car, throws up his hand. 6 police officers jumps on him. They beat his ass. They asked him, he said, why did you run to the front of your car? He says, I have a camera in the front of my car.
And you know what? I've been thinking about getting some cameras in my vehicles just for that reason. Like, you know what? Let me get some cameras, man, because the popos be lying.
He said, I got cameras. I got a camera in the front of my car. Because what he did, he ran in the front of his car and he stopped. He threw his hands up, right? He threw his hands up. And then one police officer came and just gave it to him. Damn. They didn't say stop. They didn't say get on the ground. They were screaming so many different commands until they just pummeled him. But when they found out he had cameras in the front of his car, you need to get up, get up, get up. Oh, no, brother. You just assaulted me. and it's on camera in front of my car. You know, so my car is paid off. I'm about to get paid, and the city finna lose some money. Absolutely, it's a travesty.
On his feet, that was a tragedy. Hey, listen, Brother Tony Hawkins, I thank you for coming on today's show, having this discussion with me, especially considering that it is the wife's birthday. That so I know you're a very busy man. I really appreciate your time and everything. Please tell the wife, happy birthday. But shout outs to you. And are you going to be running for city councilman again?
Brother, I'm thinking about it. I'm giving it some consideration to actually get back involved, and call me offline so I can kind of have a little conversation with you on some things that's actually taking place.
Okay.
We've had it before, but yeah, we need to go ahead and put it on through. But with that being said, I'm giving it some consideration. I'm thinking about it. I would tell anybody, if you don't like the way things are, get involved. Trust me. Get involved. And when they pull you over and you give them your name, then they're going to have some resilience in regards to should we or should we not, because they know that you are actively involved. That's the thing. Get involved. Stay involved. If you're living in a community and you know a lot of things are happening, get involved. It makes a difference. Absolutely. Sitting on the sideline does you no good. Praying, Lord help me, Jesus. Allah, praying doesn't do you any good if you don't put your actions behind your prayers. It does you nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we thank you for coming on, sir. And, hopefully hopefully we can have you on again. It'll be an honor and a privilege to have you back.
Hey, am I going to see you in Vegas?
Oh, yeah. I'm coming to Vegas. Come on now.
Hey, I'm going to say this real quick. We're not doing the raising in the desert next year. What we're doing is Shriners initiation is in the desert next year.
Ooh. Hot burning sands, huh?
Hot sands for real. So hear what I say. I said there will be no initiation, no raising in the desert like we usually do. We're doing the Shriners initiation in the desert next year.
Oh yeah, I look forward to that. Yes, sir. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on, sir.
I appreciate you. Much love to your family, to your kids. Hey man, you do what you do and keep the light on and stay out the bushes. And for those of you who are watching live on the YouTube channel, I thank you, Brother Gilmore, for coming on, holding things down for me. To Illinois Grand Lodge Research Lodge, I thank you. I appreciate you for following. And to any other brothers of the craft, sisters of the order, thank you. And please join this live stream. Follow this brother. I'll slap some sense into you. I used to say he slapped his mama, but it's an inside joke. It's an inside joke. It's inside. I'll slap some sense into you.
Yes, sir. All right, sir. Take care. Thank you very much.
All right, much love. Peace.
Yep. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. That was I don't know about you, but I feel like that was very informative. We need to have discussions like that. I believe that we do need to get more involved in our community. I know for us as so-called Black people, so-called African Americans, that it's kind of taboo, to be involved in the community and be a police officer or be somebody just working with the police. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about snitching, by the way. I'm saying real, true justice. That's why when for those who don't know, when you see the Lady Liberty and she's blindfolded and she's holding the scale, the balances, because justice is supposed to be blind. Justice is supposed to be blind. Supposed to be. Now, clearly, a lot of times we see that it's not blind, and it can get a little racial, and also a lot of times it is not just racially involved. It's classism. A lot of times we don't understand how much classism plays into this, because we don't see them shooting down rich, wealthy people. We don't even really see them shoot down too many foreigners that come from overseas, people from China, or, people from, these other places. We don't see them doing that. So it's like they, once they kind of run your name and get a look at you in your car and they profile you, they kind of can size you up to see, whether or not you come from a background that they should be concerned about. And I think that that's important to understand. That's why I mentioned that if we just get life insurance policies alone, I think that that'll really help in dealing with them, because for one, every time they do something to us, family getting paid. Then on top of that, that's going to involve that's going to draw the insurance company in, because the insurance company, as we all know, they don't like to pay out no money, and they're going to start pressing the LAPD or whatever police or sheriff department about these murders, because it's like they don't want to be paying all of this money. So they're going to be pressing them very tough. Okay. Rest in peace to Sonya, Massey. Very unfortunate incident. My heart goes out to the family. That was very uncalled for. I hope they prosecute that bastard to the full extent of the law. Personally, he should receive the death penalty. That's just me. If not, he should get all day in prison, which means that's life, bro. Don't even come out. We don't even need you out here. I mean, could you imagine? Even if not that situation, could you imagine being the person that he pulls over just for a traffic situation? You ran the stop sign or your tail light is out. Can you imagine getting pulled over by that type of officer? Oh God, like now all of a sudden your whole family is missing a loved one because of his inability to have self-control, self-regulate. He's probably on some type of steroids or something, so he's a freaking adrenaline junkie. There's a lot that could be said about this, you know what I'm saying? But to me, real police reform is something that we need, not this tokenism bullshit. We need real change. We need officers that are from the community, policing these communities. We need police officers to start going to college to receive at least an AA degree, because again, if it takes 4 to 8 years to interpret the law, it should take about that amount of time to enforce the law. All right. So I hope y'all enjoyed this show. Stay tuned for my next episode. I'm getting ready to close out this season. I got a couple episodes left, so I think I'm going to close out both my next episodes with a few more guests. But at the same time, things happen, so I might, just like this. I wasn't even going to do this. This happened, and I had to address it. I had something else that I was going to do. But when this happened, I had to address it. So hopefully, there's nothing else pressing that comes about. And then for those who are also wondering, Noble, how come you don't necessarily go live right when things happen? It's because I like to kind of gather my information and kind of see what all comes out before I start talking, because I'm not someone that just likes to talk. I like to know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm speaking. So therefore, I kind of wait of some days or maybe even a week to see all what comes out. Same thing when I did the show about the Trump incident. So for those who follow me and subscribe to my show, hit the like button, share, hit the like button. But you can check that out too, the Trump incident that I did, and I have a special guest on there as well. And I didn't come right out on that. I took some time because I wanted to give the proper information to my subscribers, because I believe that you want to try to be as right on as much as possible. To be 100% on everything is pretty much impossible. And we're humans, and sometimes we make errors, but I like to be as close to 100 as I can possibly be. So with that said, I love y'all, man. Peace and blessings. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. It's your boy, Noble Alexander. And we out.